Doctors confirm Oat may never walk again. Boat breaks down in tears. The soft morning light crept into the hospital ICU, casting golden streaks across sterile walls. The fans outside, weary from sleepless nights of vigil, clung desperately to the hope that today's update would bring good news. Instead, what they received shattered hearts across continents. The doctors had spoken, and the truth was merciless. The cruel verdict. At noon, the press gathered again in the hospital's main hall. Cameras lined the back, microphones stood stacked at the podium, and the hum of anticipation was thick enough to choke on. Dr. Surin, his face more solemn than ever, stepped forward. After reviewing the latest scans and tests, he began, his voice heavy. We must share a difficult truth. While Oat's condition is stable, the spinal damage is severe. Even if he survives this ordeal, he paused, the silence deafening. It is unlikely he will ever walk again. The room froze. Gasps, muffled sobs, and stunned silence filled the air. Reporters exchanged glances, uncertain if they had heard correctly. Outside the hospital, the thousands waiting in the heat fell eerily quiet as the announcement spread like wildfire through live streams. Boat, seated in the front row, clutched the arms of his chair until his knuckles turned white. His lips trembled. No, he whispered, shaking his head. No, you're wrong. You have to be wrong. Boat's collapse. As the weight of the words settled, Boat stumbled to his feet. His chest heaved, his hands shaking violently. You don't know him like I do, he choked out, voice cracking. He's stronger than this. He survived everything life threw at him. He will walk again. Tears streamed freely down his face, his cries raw and unrestrained. Cameras flashed furiously, capturing every anguished expression. Within minutes, social media exploded with images of Boat collapsing into Ploy's arms, his grief pouring out like an open wound. The hashtag Stand for Oat trended globally, millions of fans vowing to believe in miracles even when science offered none. Memories that sting. Back in Oat's hospital room, Boat collapsed beside the bed, his body shaking with sobs. His hands wrapped around Oat's limp fingers, and his forehead pressed against them as though clinging to life itself. Flashes of memory ripped through him. Oat sprinting onto a stage with boundless energy, his voice strong and bright. The two of them running through an airport, laughing as they dodged fans and paparazzi. Oat dancing in rehearsal, sweat dripping, determination blazing in his eyes. The idea of that same Oat lying paralyzed broke something inside Boat. You promised we'd dance together at our wedding, he whispered hoarsely. You promised you'd never let go. How do I keep believing when they say you'll never stand again? The world reacts. As news of the doctor's grim prognosis spread, the world erupted. Vigils turned into full-blown demonstrations of love. In Seoul, thousands of fans marched through the streets holding signs that read, If Oat can't walk, we'll walk for him. In London, the London Eye lit up in Oat's signature colors, a beacon of solidarity piercing the night sky. In Bangkok, monks gathered at temples to chant prayers for Oat's healing, their voices echoing into the heavens. A video from Brazil went viral. Hundreds of dancers in a stadium performed Oat's iconic choreography, ending by dropping to their knees with hands over their hearts, tears streaming. The caption read, Even if he never dances again, the world will dance for him. Celebrity outpouring. Messages from fellow artists flooded social media. Some were heartbreaking, others defiant. A global pop star tweeted, Doctors say he won't walk. I say, never underestimate the fire of a fighter. Oat, I believe in your comeback. A film director posted, Even if he never stands again, he's already stood taller than most of us ever could, with courage, love, and light. And from a rival once thought to be an enemy, I'll never forgive myself for the words I said in the past. Tonight, I only pray for your healing. Boat's midnight breakdown. That night, Boat sat alone with Oat. The fans' chants outside were faint now, replaced by the hum of machines. Boat's voice cracked as he finally let his guard down. They think you're finished, he said bitterly. They think they've broken you. But I know you, Oat. You don't quit. He pressed Oat's hand to his chest, his tears falling freely. If you can't walk, then I'll carry you. If you can't dance, then I'll dance for both of us. Just please, don't leave me in this fight alone. The monitor beeped steadily, but in the stillness, Boat swore he felt Oat's fingers squeeze his. The fans' monument of hope. The next day, in Bangkok's Central Square, fans unveiled a towering mural of Oat, painted in vibrant colors, arms outstretched, a golden aura radiating from his figure. At the bottom, the words read, "Even if you never walk again, you'll always lift us higher." The image went viral instantly, reposted by celebrities, newscasters, and even politicians. It became more than art, it became a movement. Ploy's discovery. While the world mourned, Ploy pursued the truth. She returned to the flash drive she had smuggled from the traffic department. This time, with the help of a trusted hacker, she finally unlocked the footage. Her blood ran cold. The SUV hadn't just been tailing Oat and Boat, it had swerved deliberately into their lane moments before the crash. And the license plate, it traced back to a shell company suspiciously linked to Oat's own music label. Heart-pounding, Ploy rushed to find Boat. "This wasn't an accident," she whispered urgently. "They wanted to silence him. And now, they're trying to break you too." Boat's new resolve. For the first time since the grim announcement, Boat's tears dried into fire. His grief hardened into determination. He turned to Oat, gripping his hand fiercely. "They thought they could take your legs and take our dreams," he said, his voice steady with resolve. "But they've only given us a new battle. And when you open your eyes, we'll fight it together." The camera of a passing nurse captured the moment, a raw image of Boat's tear-streaked face lit by the soft glow of Oat's monitor. It became the symbol of resilience worldwide. Global pledges. As news of the deliberate crash began to circulate through whispers and leaks, fans didn't just grieve, they mobilized. Online petitions demanded a criminal investigation. Hashtags like #JusticeForOat and #They Tried to Break Him surged. Concerts across Asia began dedicating songs to Oat, entire stadiums roaring his name in unison. In Manila, a choir of thousands sang his ballad while holding hands, their voices rising to the heavens like a prayer. The cliffhanger, a dangerous shadow. But as love poured in, danger drew closer. Late at night, while Boat finally managed to close his eyes in Oat's room, a shadow slipped through the hospital corridors. A figure in a dark coat approached the nurse's station, murmured something, and slid an envelope across the desk. Inside, a note written in stark black ink read, "If Boat doesn't back down, Oat won't live to see another sunrise." The nurse froze. The figure disappeared before she could speak. Unaware, Boat slept with his head resting on Oat's bed, their hands still intertwined. Outside the window, lanterns still floated across the night sky, glowing symbols of unshakable love and hope. The world believed Oat's battle was only about survival. But in truth, a war had just begun, one that would test love, loyalty, and justice like never before. The shattering moment. Doctors announce Oat may never walk again. The air inside the hospital conference hall was heavy with anticipation. Fans pressed against barricades outside, clutching posters and candles, their voices hoarse from hours of chanting. Inside, journalists adjusted their cameras, pens poised like weapons ready to carve history into paper. Everyone expected a difficult update, but no one was prepared for the devastation that would come. The moment of truth. Dr. Surin stepped onto the podium, his face pale, his hands gripping the microphone with an almost trembling force. Behind him, a row of specialists stood in grim silence. His eyes swept across the sea of reporters, fans watching via live stream, and one figure seated at the front, Boat, Oat's anchor, Oat's everything. He cleared his throat, his voice solemn. After reviewing the latest scans and assessments, he said, pausing as though searching for softer words that did not exist, Oat's spinal injury has left catastrophic damage. While he remains alive and stable, the likelihood of him regaining the ability to walk is extremely slim. The words landed like thunder. Gasps pierced the silence. Cameras clicked furiously. Some reporters clasped their mouths, their professional masks shattered by the raw cruelty of the revelation. Outside, fans froze mid-chant, their banners lowering as shock coursed through the crowd. And at the center of it all, Boat's heartbreak. Boat's chest rose sharply, his breathing ragged. His eyes widened, glistening as if reality had just turned to shards of glass. "No," he whispered, shaking his head violently. "No, you're wrong. You have to be wrong." His voice cracked into a cry, echoing through the sterile hall. Chairs scraped as he stumbled to his feet, his entire body trembling. Every camera lens turned to him, catching every detail, his trembling lips, his tear-soaked cheeks, the pain carved into his very bones. "You don't know him like I do," Boat cried, his words breaking under the weight of grief. "He's survived storms, betrayals, heartbreaks. You think he'll give up now?
He will walk again.
He promised me. He promised all of us." The room dissolved into chaos. Reporters whispered urgently into their microphones, fans watching live streams wept uncontrollably, and security struggled to hold back the surge of supporters who tried to rush inside. The collapse. Boat's body couldn't bear the weight of his grief. His knees buckled, and he fell to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. His cries were raw, primal, tearing through the air like thunderclaps. Ploy, rushing forward, caught him just before he collapsed entirely. She held him tightly, whispering through her own tears, "Stay strong, Boat. He needs you." But Boat's sobs were relentless. "How do I stay strong?" he choked, "when they've just stolen his future?" That moment, captured by dozens of cameras, spread across the internet like wildfire. Within minutes, hashtags surged. Hashtag stand for Oat. Hashtag Boat stay strong. Hashtag miracle for Oat. Millions of fans across the globe shared the heartbreaking clip of Boat collapsing, many writing, "His tears are our tears. His fight is our fight." The world holds its breath. Outside the hospital, silence blanketed the crowd. For hours, fans had sung, prayed, shouted Oat's name. But now, only soft sobs filled the air. One young fan fell to her knees, clutching a framed photo of Oat, whispering, "Please prove them wrong. Please rise again." In Seoul, a massive LED screen in the heart of the city displayed the announcement, followed by a clip of Boat crying. Pedestrians stopped mid-stride, covering their mouths in shock. In Tokyo, subway trains carried quiet commuters scrolling through their phones, many wiping away tears at the devastating news. In London, Paris, Manila, and Los Angeles, wherever Oat's music had reached, hearts broke simultaneously. Boat returns to Oat's side. After the press conference, Boat didn't speak to anyone. He walked like a ghost through the hospital corridors, ignoring flashing cameras and the questions shouted his way. His destination was clear, Oat's room. When he entered, the beeping of machines and the faint scent of antiseptic wrapped around him. Oat lay still, his face serene, as though sleeping peacefully while the world around him burned. Boat collapsed into the chair beside him, seizing his hand tightly. "They don't believe in you," Boat whispered through his tears. "But I do. I'll always believe. If you can't walk, then I'll carry you. If you can't dance, then I'll dance for us both. Just don't leave me here alone." His forehead pressed against Oat's hand, his tears falling onto their intertwined fingers. And in that fragile, impossible moment, Boat swore, that Oat's hand twitched, a tiny flicker of defiance against the grim verdict. Fans refused to give up. News anchors repeated the doctor's statement endlessly, but fans refused to let despair consume them. In Bangkok, fans filled the hospital square with thousands of candles, spelling out one giant word: hope. They sang Oat's songs in trembling voices, their lyrics carrying into the night sky. In Seoul, a flash mob performed Oat's signature choreography, ending on their knees, hands over their hearts. The video caption read, "Even if he never dances again, we will dance for him." And in New York's Times Square, digital billboards lit up with Oat's smiling face, accompanied by the words, "You will rise again." Boat's silent vow. As night fell, Boat remained by Oat's side. His eyes were red, his body drained, but his spirit, though battered, refused to surrender. He whispered to Oat in the dark, his voice trembling but fierce. "They said you may never walk again," he murmured. "But, Oat, they don't know your spirit. They don't know the fire in your soul. And until you prove them wrong, I'll fight every second of every day for you." The machines hummed their steady rhythm, the monitors glowing softly in the darkness. And outside, lanterns floated into the sky, released by fans who refused to let go of hope. The cliffhanger of faith. The night ended not in silence, but in defiance. For while doctors had delivered their cruel verdict, the people, Boat, the fans, the world, chose to believe in miracles. And as Boat clung to Oat's hand, refusing to release it, one thought burned brighter than all the sorrow. This story isn't over. Oat's fight has only just begun.